Welcome, everybody, to another episode of the Unquestionably Raw NBA podcast. I am your host, Matt Miller. Today, we got two guests with us. I got Gonzo back again with us. Then we got my man, Rad, joining us. It's been a while since he's been on. It's good to have him back. I didn't plan on doing anything tonight, but obviously we had a big trade today. Kyrie Irving is going to the Boston Celtics in return. The Cavs get Isaiah Thomas. They get Jay Crowder. They get Zizic, and they get Brooklyn's 2008 first-round pick, which is huge. So I'm going to go to Gonzo. I got to ask you this, though, Gonzo, first. What's 2K going to do with the cover, bro?
Personally, I really don't.
2K?
Honestly, I really could care less what happens with the cover. I want to know what's going to happen under the hood with the gameplay, honestly. Jesus, like we've really suffered these last 2 years with that. So, honestly,
I didn't want to make it a 2K discussion. I just thought I'd throw that.
Oh no. But hopefully, they should. Hopefully, they got enough time to swap out the covers, I guess, before they get everything shipped. Unless they're already shipped, sitting at GameStop already.
Yeah, man, they got time. I'm pretty sure they can get it done. But so I'm gonna go to you then. We'll still stay with you, Gonzo. What did you think, man? Like for both sides, how does this work for? Do you like it for Cleveland? Do you like it for Boston?
Oh, love it for the Celtics. Congratulations, Boston, on getting out of the Eastern Conference. Thank you.
Thank you, Gonzo. Because that's not a very popular opinion right now. I'm with you, though.
Let me tell you something. This is where the problem. They're both the same player in so many ways, but Kyrie's a much better finisher at the basket. I think he shoots the mid-range better. I think, if I'm not mistaken, they shoot threes about the same. Kyrie might be a little better at three.
He is a better three-point shooter.
Yeah, Kyrie's a better three-point shooter, and I think that I think Isaiah Thomas can be stopped due to size. He's small. Because if you look at the first couple of games when the Bulls played against with Rondo
in the first round,
the first two games, I mean, Isaiah Thomas didn't look all that great, with Rondo sticking him. Once Rondo got injured, Isaiah Thomas
he was getting his points right, but he was shooting so many shots to get him.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying?
His efficiency wasn't.
I mean, playing with LeBron James.
And now he goes to
playing with LeBron. I mean, that might help a little bit, but I mean, I just don't see Cleveland. I really don't think LeBron's going to give his all this year. I mean, but even then, I mean, the East is so weak that he could potentially make it out of the East. But I'm going with Boston though.
What about for Cleveland? What do you think? Do you like them getting let's go to their side of it. What do you think of them? Obviously, we know what IT is going to bring. Like you said, he's basically very similar. Him and Kyrie. Obviously, he's shorter. What about bringing in Jay Crowder? Do you like that for Cleveland?
I mean, it's an extra defender, but I mean, when it all boils down to it, everybody's making all these trades and making all these acquisitions. It won't matter because Golden State's winning the championship again.
What about that 2018 Brooklyn pick? I mean,
it doesn't matter. Golden State's going to win again.
Well, I know it doesn't. Yeah, but think about this though. We obviously, I think the consensus is LeBron's going to walk. Isaiah Thomas will probably walk at the end of the year, right? Well, at least now absolutely. You got something. Now you get a pick to build around, and you still got Kevin Love. I mean, so okay, Kevin Love.
Then they probably won't even make the playoffs. They'll be getting good draft picks for the next 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, hopefully they pan out. That's the key. Are they going to draft well? I mean, I think the whole thing, and a lot of people were saying that Cleveland Boston got fleeced in this deal. I'll get to that in a second when I go. But Byron, what did you think of this trade, man, for both teams? First, let's start with Kyrie going to the ball. What do you think that does for the Boston Celtics?
Well, I prefer to talk about what it does for the Golden State Warriors.
Damn.
I think that the reason why Steph was doing that dance at the wedding was Kyrie was telling him where he wanted to go, and he knows now that he's not going to have to defend him. So he's probably doing that. He's probably doing the LeBron dance right now. I think that it brings some excitement to Boston because it's been a while since they had a player like that in terms of his skill set. You know, like what he's fun to watch. Does that make them better? I don't know. I think he's somewhat selfish. He wants to be the man. I think he can be that player that he was not allowed to be in Cleveland. And we just have to see, man. I think he and IT are pretty equivalent. I think that the issue that Cleveland now has with Isaiah is they can put that Durant on him. They can put somebody who has length on him, and he can definitely be contained. You know.
Mm-hmm. Man, yeah, it's funny you say that because Alex Campbell in the chat said the same thing. Durant can take on Isaiah every game. So yeah, I definitely agree on some of that stuff. What about with getting the draft pick? You think that's good for Cleveland to have that 2018? They're going to get Brooklyn's pick this year, and obviously a lot of people don't think Brooklyn's going to be very good, so that could end up being a top 3 pick. And if LeBron walks and Isaiah walks, you at least get a building block, right?
Are you asking me or are you asking God?
I'm asking you, Byron. We're on you.
So repeat the question, son.
Damn, you got to pay attention, son. Come on. I know this is late, man. Not for you because you're on the West Coast, but I know it was last minute. But damn, come on, son. Nah, like getting the draft pick from Brooklyn. That's pretty big for Cleveland, right? Because now
that's a steal, man. I think
they could potentially be top 3.
Well, a lot was given to Kyrie, and that pick is great for Cleveland because we all know that LeBron will not be a Cavalier. This time,
low key, just to let everybody know, Rad, what he wants LeBron to do. He's saying that because he wants LeBron to go to Houston.
I mean, that's a huge possibility, but regardless, he won't be a Cavalier next year.
No, I agree. Now, this trade, I'm seeing it all over Twitter that the Cavs just totally fleeced Danny Ainge. I just don't see it. And, of course, all the stats nerds out there are just, but Jay Crowder, he's got this great contract. He does this, he does that. But essentially what this trade is for me was the Brooklyn pick and Jay Crowder for Kyrie Irving because Isaiah Thomas, we know he's got the hip issue. How is that? We don't know how truly healthy he is right now. His game is based on a lot of his speed. That's going to hurt with the hip. Are there things they weren't telling us? And that's why they had to include that 18 pick. The contract situation. He's 29 years old. So now you get Kyrie Irving, who's 26. You got him under control for 2 years. He's got the opt out at the in that third year. He's got the opt-out, which he's probably going to opt out because the way the contracts are now, you can get massively paid. So he'll definitely opt out. But I think Boston will keep him, And I know everybody, they traded Avery Bradley. You get rid of Jay Crowder. They still have Marcus Smart. They still had to get Gordon Hayward. They signed him, all-star player, top 20 guy in the league. You still got Al Horford, one of the better big guys in the league, can rebound, shoot threes, very good team player, very underappreciated by a lot of people. You got Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, who I love. I wasn't a big Tatum guy, but I believe it was Gonzo who's been really high on Jason Tatum. I want to go to you now, Gonzo, on that, man. This is another thing. This really opens up minutes for Jason Tatum now, and I think that's going to be huge, Gonzo. Can you go on about that too, man? Because I know you really like Tatum.
Absolutely, I like Jason Tatum's. I like Jason Tatum's game. He's kind of like everybody just says he's a scorer, but if you watch the NCAA tournament, a lot of times he seemed like he was their point guard too. He has length. He can shoot the three. He can rebound. He can pass. He can do a little bit of scoring. He can go to the cup. He showed in summer league he has some nice little post moves. His nice little fadeaway jumper that he can knock down.
He's got that little Dirk one-footed move.
Yeah, absolutely. So he's a good young product. I think they could be really, really good for the Celtics. Right now, it seems like the Celtics are trying to win now. You know, it's just like,
Yeah.
let's
Well,
not
obviously.
wait. We've been talking about this rebuilding process for so long. Let's just make these moves and just and get this win. Because honestly, if they make the right moves, it's the Eastern Conference you can dominate. I mean, LeBron James has had 8 consecutive NBA finals due to the fact that the East is terribly weak. Like, if he goes to the West, it's going to be so difficult for him to make it that many times in a row.
Unless he goes to Golden State or San Antonio.
It's going to be, yeah, like if he goes to one of those two teams, then he probably have a chance of making it the Western Conference finals a lot. But right now, then he goes to any other team besides those two, he probably won't make it to a Western Conference finals again. Maybe 1 or 2, possibly. But I'm not even betting on that with Golden State the way they are and the way that San Antonio is already. I just don't see it happening. And this is the perfect time for, like I said, the Celtics to capitalize. East is weak. You got a lot of teams on the rise, but no team you can count on and say, oh, they're definitely going to make the finals. This is a chance to capitalize on that. Make your team the best and get yourself on a roll where you can make that many Eastern Conference finals now.
Absolutely. And you never know. You get to the finals, injuries can happen. Maybe it could be a year for maybe Boston can sneak one out if there's an injury somewhere out in Golden State or San Antonio. Maybe it's, it could be Boston's year. I really like their depth. I know they gave up a lot of defensive players, but like I said, you still have Horford, you still have Marcus Smart. Morris is a really good player. He's going to defend a little bit, decent rebounder, can make shots. He's gonna help them out too. You got Amir Johnson, or no, you don't. Amir Johnson's gone. He's in Philly now. My bad. But they've got some really good pieces there. I don't understand his hate for them. And I'm gonna kind of go in another direction here, Byron, with Boston, because you're a Jaylen Brown guy. He's probably gonna start now because of this trade. I think that's huge because I like Jaylen Brown, Byron. Let the people know how big this is for Jaylen Brown.
Well, last year during the draft, I was really just doing my own personal scouting, seeing who I thought had the potential to become somebody really great in the NBA. And while everybody was talking about Simmons and Buddy and other players, and Ingram, who I also thought were really good, one that no one was talking much about, who stood out to me, was Jaylen Brown. And his athleticism alone will take him far. And he's very mature. And he just seems very coachable. And he showed glimpses of what he will become in the NBA for years to come. If he reaches that, his potential. We've seen glimpses of what he could possibly become. But I think a starting position for him will accelerate the process of him becoming that guy, like a Dominique Wilkins, like a Isaiah Ryder. That's who he really reminds me of, a guy like that. And I think that he and Kyrie together will be a nice backcourt.
Well, that depends. It really depends. Is it going to be Jaylen Brown at the 2 or the 3 and Hayward at the 2? It's going to be dependent on how Brad Stevens wants to use as a lineup. My guess is Jaylen Brown probably starts out at the 2 to start the season. We'll see.
Well, they both are young enough to.
Yeah, I mean they can, but they're interchangeable. Right. I know Brown 6'7", 6'8", Hayward 6'8". They can still play the 2. It's not.
And with the now Kyrie, I don't think he's the most mature guy, but I think that he does have experience, and there are things that he can teach Jaylen to help him enhance his game.
Kyrie's been through the trenches. He's got a championship. I mean, the guy hit the biggest shot in Cleveland history, so the guy's clutch.
We're going to have to talk about that some more too, because I actually watched that game earlier today, and it never seemed to me that Kyrie was phased or he understood the magnitude of that shot, of how big, just that shot.
But, that's a testament to him because, man, it just shows that he's got ice water in his veins, man. The dude has nuts. He does not care. The moment is never too big for him. That's a good thing.
But I mean, it came so early in his career, and it came somewhat easy, which is why I still feel that the way I feel about it is.
But look at Kobe, man, against Indiana, man. That was still early in Kobe's carear. Kobe was only 22 years old. He was younger than Kyrie. So it does I mean, it can happen.
Exactly. But then when Shaq was traded, he went through a slump, and he could not take losing, and he understood how vital Shaq was to the success of that whole organization. Mm-hmm. And he had to learn.
Realized he can't do it by himself.
Because if they don't get Pau Gasol, then he finishes his career with 3 rings.
Yep. But here's the thing. Here's the beautiful thing about Kyrie. He's probably the man. He's the best player in Boston. I think that's fair to say. He's probably their best player. He can be the man there, but he also at the same time, you got Al Horford, you got Marcus Smart, you got Gordon Hayward, you got Brown, you got Tatum. So he's also got help around him. So he doesn't just have to do it by himself, but he can still be the man and have help at the same time. What do you think about that, Gonzo? Because that's what Kyrie wanted. He wants to be the primary ball handler, which he'll be now. But he's got guys around him. Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, you like this Boston team to get to the finals now.
Absolutely. I like Boston. I like the fact that Kyrie wants to be his own man. And I think the bigger problem is, and I think people constantly overlook, why is it that Kyrie wanted to leave in the first place? Mm-hmm. It says a lot about LeBron, I think we have to look at history just for a second. LeBron has gotten into it with Mario Chalmers. He's got into it with Eric Spoelstra. He's got into it with Mike Brown. He's got into it with Tristan Thompson. He's got into it with Deion Waiters. He's got into it with Kyrie Irving. He's got into it with Tyronn Lue trying to outcoach him on the sideline. So LeBron is problematic. I think people look at because of the godly numbers that he puts up and the fact he's been in 8 NBA finals. I think people almost bow down and kind of forget.
So what you're saying is he's a prima donna.
Yes, definitely so. Like this is the problem. This is one reason when your team's winning and you make a ton of clutch shots to win a championship, and everybody says, "Oh, LeBron James is MVP. Oh, LeBron James took him to the finals. LeBron James won the game 7 for him." And you hear all this praise. But when you lose, it's, Kyrie can't play defense.
It's LeBron gets all the credit when he gets all the credit when they win and none of the blame when they lose.
And then people look at, LeBron had a triple-double. Well, as I said before, triple-doubles equal losses. Everybody who averages a triple-double usually loses.
Hey, I got my man here, James, in the chat room. He said he went at it with David Blatt as well.
David Blatt, exactly.
But listen, I won't say he gets all the blame when they lose.
Honestly,
because he's under the most scrutiny when they do lose. When they lost, more people talked about LeBron more than they talked about like Kyrie and Kevin Love when they lost. I'm talking about both times to Golden State. You know what I mean? So, and obviously those two didn't play. Love and Kyrie didn't play the first year.
I don't think anybody blamed LeBron for that first one. I mean, LeBron was fantastic.
Yeah, but even this past, whenever they lose, I feel like he gets more criticism.
He does, but at the same time,
Kyrie and Love do not get the criticism that he gets. They don't.
Hey, let me preface this though real quick on what Gonzo said. Like, because a lot of people are going to think Gonzo's nothing but a LeBron hater, which is not true. Because if you ask Gonzo who the top 5 players of all time are, LeBron would be in his top 5.
Where in your top 5, Gons?
You know what? I'm sorry. I had to reevaluate that on last Friday.
Oh, he changed it, man. I think he got him at 6. He's got him out of the top 5 now.
And I'm gonna tell you something. I had to swap him for somebody, and I think people underestimate this one person that I put at 5 instead of LeBron.
Who is that?
People underestimated Larry Bird. Like people say he's so unathletic. Yeah, he was. but he still averaged like 24, 10, and 6. He shot like 49 to 50% from field goals. He shot a decent percentage from 3, shot plus 80 from free throws. Like, this dude pretty much averaged LeBron stats in an era when everybody else was way more athletic than he was.
Hey, Larry Bird just knew how to play, though. He could just play.
I mean, Larry Bird talked crap and backed it up. Like, he would tell you what play he was about to run, and he was still scoring.
Hey, Byron, tell him what Dr. J had to do to him.
Dr. J choked him out because he gave him like 45 3/4, talking crap the whole 90 yards to Doc. And Doc was a very classy guy. That wasn't him. He had Doc out of character. I think the guy was phenomenal. I think and he's not even in the top 15 all-time scoring because like his last 5 years he was injured. So you
got to look at the era he was in though. Like that era was very, very physical. So a lot of his injury came from the fact that Larry Bird not only played hard, but people played against him hard. Like LeBron
you took a beating. I mean, I don't. But see, this is where
outside
I would say
Durant and Kawhi.
See, that's. I mean, yeah, I get where you're going. I think it's a little unfair for this reason. The rules are different. So I don't like to call these players soft nowadays. I think it's unfair just because the rules are different. If they grew up with the 80s rules, these guys would be just as, they'd be playing just as hard as the guys in the 80s. But I see where you're going. Like LeBron doesn't really have that many. He doesn't have many equals.
What makes you think that? I'd like to know.
Just because, man, it's all relative to me. I mean, you got to figure. LeBron James, no, I'm going to tell you why. Because think about this. When we're all basically all the same age here. I mean, what are you, Gonzo? 36? I'm 35.
Yeah, 36.
Yeah, I'm 35. Byron's 35. When we were, we kind of grew up at the tail end of when you could hand. But when we were in high school, you couldn't hand check anymore. Mind you, these guys are all younger than us. So they grew up in an era where you couldn't even hand check on defense. You couldn't push guys like that. So naturally, you're going to be softer. But when if you grew up and you played in the 80s, you could literally beat the snot. I mean, you saw Kurt Rambis when he fouled. Was it Kevin McHale he fouled?
Kevin McHale,
and that wasn't just that was a common foul. You'd be ejected and suspended 10 games now. Like the rule, that's why I say, it's unfair. You don't know. Obviously, you don't know how these guys would have reacted, but you don't know that they wouldn't have been. That's why when people say, well, Curry wouldn't have done squat in the 80s, how do you know? He would have adjusted, just like,
Before we go back, finish what Gonzo was saying about LeBron being problematic, I got to say this. One word, one name, Lambeer. Like, the stuff that guy got away with, I don't think these guys, like, let's be real with ourselves. Would Kevin Garnett be able to play in that era? We know he has a skill set to do it. But he wasn't always. I felt like he was sometimes impulsive. He was very short tempered. I don't like as tough as Gary Payton was. I don't know what he would have done, and if he would have played like in the 80s.
But you know what?
As tough as he was, that was the beauty. You gotta understand, there was no flagrant. They brought the flagrant foul to the game because of the bad boys. Like when I talk to kids that I work with, and they're like, "Oh no, man. Kobe this, LeBron that, oh Michael Jordan." I was like, no, Michael got 60 when they could hand check you and there was no flagrant foul. What that mean? What that means is on your way to the cup, they can literally grab you by your head.
They're gonna put your ass on the floor.
Yeah, and they would not even get. I was watching a game the other day. Mike went up to lay it up, and what's the dude? Dantley, Adrian Dantley.
Yeah,
just grabbed Mike and just threw him down.
Was this when Dantley was on the Pistons or the Jazz?
Yes, with the Pistons. Okay. And then of course, everybody got mad. Like, they still had Oakley, I think, at that time, and Oakley went for him. And and the only reason why they threw Dantley out that game was because of that, not because of the foul, but because of the aftermath. Because Oakley just went for him, and then everybody ran off the bench, and everybody. And it was like a brawl, and they put Dantley out the game. But the only reason why, not for what he did to Mike, for what he did to Charles Oakley. and that says a lot. You got to think about it. So you could get away with that. It was dirty. You talking about Bill Laimbeer, a guy that would trip you and was really out there trying to hurt you. These guys are such prima donnas. They're not mentally strong enough for that type of play. And people say, you know what? I think that minus, recruiting Kevin Durant when they really didn't need him, I think that Curry and Draymond Green have the mental toughness to play in that era. Because
absolutely,
they are for the most part very composed. The only time we saw Curry lose his composure was
the NBA finally spit his mouthpiece. When he threw his mouthpiece,
and when LeBron was really like pushing him to the end. He was defending himself because you notice when they were down 3-1, LeBron didn't do no talking until they got tied at 3. In the end of the game 6, when was game 6 when Curry got ejected, right? Or game 5?
Mm-hmm. That was game 6.
LeBron didn't start talking for real until game 6. He was very timid, and he didn't start talking until they tied that series.
All I'm going to say about this, because somehow our podcast always ends up, and Byron is not a Golden State fan, so. But it always turns into a Warrior love fest because, Gonzo and I are really high on this Golden State team, obviously. But you notice one difference this year and last year. Last year, Curry goes to the cup. He gets his stuff put on the glass. This year, he just slices LeBron up and just lays it up. And he just looked at him. That's how you know Curry was hurt last year. But, I don't need to go that far with it.
So was Kyrie. And
Kyrie wasn't hurt last year, though.
And 2015, he
didn't play. He didn't even play. But here's the thing, though. I like what you said about Curry, Byron, and Gonzo will agree. Who gets beat up more in the NBA than anybody? Off ball, moving. It's Stephen Curry.
Hey man, let's not make this a Curry fest, man. If it ain't Curry kicking, I don't want to talk about it right now.
Fair enough. But we were talking about because this is I didn't plan on being on tonight. I want to talk about something now that I made a little rant on Twitter, and I'm glad. And Byron brought up Michael Jordan, and I think this is a perfect opportunity for me to bring this up. This, when he said about the 80s and stuff, Michael Jordan played in the era where you could beat guys up, and he dominated. Then when he came back, they took the hand check and all that away. Michael still dominated. So that just shows how great Michael Jordan was, right, Byron?
I would agree.
But this leads to my rant. A lot of people, when you talk about Michael Jordan's legacy, nobody wants to talk about Michael Jordan with the Wizards. Oh, man, we don't want to talk about that. Wasn't Michael. But think about this, though. And I put this on – I did a little rant on Twitter about this Monday. It was yesterday. And we see how Paul Pierce has aged. He's only, 38, 39? He looks awful. He doesn't belong in the NBA. Kobe, he goes out. He has the monster game, the 60, 61 points, or, he looked great. And that's my all-time favorite player, but we'll get, we don't have to speak on that. But, he had his it wasn't the same Kobe, scoring 16, 17 a game. You saw guys like Elijah Wan when they went out. You saw, I'm trying to think of another one who's look at what you're seeing from Dwayne Wade now. And he's only 30. He's about to be 36. Michael Jordan was 40 years old, played every single game and averaged 20 on a team that wasn't very talented. So you knew he was getting everybody's best shot every single night. Plus he's Michael Jordan, so he was going to get that anyways. So doesn't that show how great Michael really was, Byron?
Well,
shouldn't that actually add to his legacy?
Yeah, I think it adds to his legacy, but it also, you compare him to guys who did not have the breaks that Michael Jordan had. Like he faced 2 injuries in his career. He broke his foot in like the second, third game of his sophomore season.
Yeah,
and then his knee when he was like 40. When he just turned 39, was it? When he went out the first year.
He was 39. It was right after the All-Star break. And Byron, before you continue, when he got injured that year, who was the MVP in the NBA? He was the MVP front runner at that time. At 39, this guy was the MVP front runner.
Right. But my point is, you compare it to like the Paul Pierces and the Dwayne Wades and these other guys. Well, Mike had a good 2 years off to not play. So, and even though he was older, I mean,
he still had the knee problems though, Byron.
Yeah, but I mean the wear and tear that puts on your body.
Yeah,
you said yesterday when we talked, you said to me that he was when he retired in '98. I knew this. How I knew it was time. Like when he took the shot on Brian Russell in Game 6, I didn't think he was going to go in because if you go back and look at Mike during that playoff run, he had like 2 opportunities to win the game for them against Indiana. Remember the first the first time I think was Game 3 when they came back and they went on that run to tie the series. When he did the little double pump and it rimmed out.
Yeah,
that was the same game when Reggie Miller pushed him. He fell off the screen and he shot the ball. Okay, then in Game 6, I remember because my little brother he started tearing up. I believe.
Are you talking about Brenton?
Yeah, me and him both almost cried. Game 6 was when he had the ball. He penetrated. He slipped and fell, and was screaming at the refs on the ground for a foul, and there was clearly no foul. And and I was like, man. And so when he took the shot on Brian Russell, I'm like, nah, he's gonna miss it because he was not that same Mike that we knew that would just close the game out.
But what did he do? Byron? He was that same Mike that we knew, and he closed the game out.
But he iced it, and that was the last we saw of that Michael Jordan, because he was 35 years old, and you got a new guy. You think Mike wants? You think Kobe wants to guard a Jaylen Brown or a Booker right now? No, he doesn't want to because he played consistently for 20 seasons. Without he had the one season when he tore his Achilles and he didn't play much. So I mean, there was no rest for a lot of these guys, and so it is with even a Muhammad Ali. Like people say, oh, he came back, he was old, but he didn't box for like 5 years, something like that. So he had a lot of time. That's a large margin to go without being punched, without being socked on. And, that affects you when you take those hits and the wear and tears on your body. So Mike had time to rest his body. It doesn't take anything away from his skill set. I'm just saying.
Hey, there's only one. Hey, Byron, I want you to answer this, and I'm going to go to Gonzo about this. When Mike came back to the Wizard, there was one guy he just did not want to mess with. Who was it?
Tracy McGrady.
Yep. Too long. T-Mac was always – T-Mac's the only one person that could block Mike's fadeaway, even and that was at 39, 40 years old. T-Mac was blocking his turnaround, and you just didn't see that, even at his advanced age. But that length just killed him. He didn't want nothing to do with T-Mac. Gonzo, what did you think of Mike at 40, man? Do you think it hurt his legacy? You're a Chicago guy.
Mike is the oldest player to average 20-plus points a game. That's one. Yes, Michael Jordan did take a break for 2 years, but he was also still very active. He was playing baseball. He was playing another sport in the midst of those year and a half that he was off. Michael Jordan broke his ankle his sophomore season and came back in the playoffs and plus against Boston and Larry Bird, the great Celtics team. So we can say all day long how many breaks he did. But
no. I'm referring to his retirement.
He's talking about the second retirement.
Yeah,
even at the second retirement.
Playing. Remember, he was showing up to Bulls practices all the time.
He still came back. He still came back at almost 40 years old and averaged 20-plus points a game. He averaged 20-plus points a game 2 seasons in a row and almost got the Wizards into the playoffs.
If he doesn't get Wizards team. If he didn't get hurt that first year, Gonzo, are you with us? He was probably the MVP that year.
Easily.
Yeah. At 39.
Nobody's talking about the Wizards.
No. And when he went down, I believe they were in fourth or fifth place in the East at the time and rising. He went down and they plummeted. A 39-year-old man got hurt and the team just plummeted. in the standings. That shows you how good he was to me. You lose a 39-year-old and you just fall off the map. Come on.
I'd like to tell people, this is how great you know Michael Jordan is. When we're not going to talk about the last 3 championships, we're going to talk about the first 3. You won the first 3 championships with those mediocre teams. We got Horace Grant and Scottie Pippen. Paxson was not a superstar. Trent Tucker, Cliff Levingston,
Bobby Hansen,
Scott Williams, Stacey King, Bobby Hansen. Like, what other bums do I have to name that was on those rosters?
Did you say
like,
Scott Williams?
Like, he won 3 championships with those raggedy ass teams. That's number one. That's number one. He won 3 championships with those bums. That's one. Then we have to give Michael Jordan a little more respect because guess what? A lot of those players have jobs because of Michael Jordan, because they played with Michael Jordan. Look, Bill Cartwright got a coaching job because guess what? He played with Michael Jordan.
Is Steve Kerr the coach of the Warriors if he never plays with Michael Jordan?
Absolutely not. Bill Winnington has a job on the radio. Why? Because he played with Michael Jordan.
Hey, man, don't hate on
King
Bill Winnington, man. I like Bill
Michael
Winnington.
Jordan.
Don't hate on Bill.
Like,
I always like Winnington.
No, I like Bill Winnington, actually. I like Winnington on the radio. But the point I'm trying to make is that Mike has touched the league. The league should bow at his presence on an NBA court. The logo, they should strip the logo from Jerry West and completely erase the thought of Jerry West ever being anybody's logo.
I got something else for you, Gonzo. Judd Bushler is an assistant for the Lakers now. Is he an assistant with the Lakers if he doesn't play with Michael
Absolutely
Jordan?
not. It's because he's played with Michael Jeffrey Jordan.
Yes.
It's just that simple. Make no mistake about it.
Hey.
That's just what it is.
I mean, y'all know Michael Jordan stands. I'm not taking anything away from him. You know what I mean? But what I will say is, like, man, he was great. He is the greatest. His career is so picture perfect. It's a fairy tale. I wonder where he would be if they had like social media in his day, because it's like even the bad stuff.
They'd have found a way to tear him to shreds, especially if the mentality was the same. Because you know now people love to just tear down these athletes and rip them apart. They look for a reason.
When you think about it, it's like
everybody's got a voice now.
Even the bad stuff about him was swept under the. It was so. They kept it so like covert.
You know why? Because really regular people like you and I
had to like go in and read the intricacies and read like Sports Illustrated and these reports, because there was no internet then. Like, you know,
that's what I'm saying.
I read in Sports Illustrated that he beat up Steve Kerr and Tony Kukoc. You know, and typically back then kids my age didn't read Sports Illustrated, but I just collected all things Michael Jordan. And I read, and I was like, wow, he gave Steve Kerr a black eye. And it wasn't magnified. You know, let that have been LeBron or Kobe.
Hey, but you know what, though? This is the difference is now everybody has a voice. Everyday regular clowns like the 3 of us can get out there. We got social media. We can put it out there. You know, everybody has a voice now, which now corporate sponsors see this stuff and they got to take action when the people are mad. That wasn't the case when Michael played. Everybody didn't have a voice. You couldn't just put your opinion out there for the world to see. Now, I mean, look, just for example, look, we're on the internet live, video, you know, talking. We got Twitter, and we can make these guys look stupid, and the corporate sponsors and everybody see that. They didn't have that back when Michael played, so he was definitely protected. I mean, he was the golden boy for the NBA. They weren't going to let that stuff get out. He wouldn't be protected. You can't protect people now. Everybody's got a camera.
I still don't think that the NBA has recovered from him, man. I don't know, man. The NBA is just as popular as it's
I
don't think that they never recovered from him, because and a prime example is anybody that shows any traces of it, they keep trying to anoint somebody that Michael Jordan. That's why LeBron struggles sometimes, I feel, because they put that on him, and he's never been that. He's not that guy. You know what I mean? And it's.
That's fair. That's fair.
I think we're just coming to a place where people are. Well, I wouldn't say people are forgetting, but there's a generational gap now. So I mean, kids know they equate greatness when obviously you go to Foot Locker and you see shoes everywhere. and they see him as a shoe salesman, but they've never seen him play.
These kids, Michael Jordan, who's that? That's the guy who makes the shoes.
Or the crying meme.
Yeah, or he's the guy, he owns the Hornets.
Which is a shame because he's so great of a player, too great of a player to be remembered as a meme. But I think
that's the most popular meme in history.
And I mean, they know the movie Space Jam, but like I showed Space Jam to some kids, and they were watching it, and they were watching the part where he was doing all these dunks, and they were like, "Man, that's basic. Like, what's so special about this guy?" And I'm just laughing on the inside because
that's basic.
I'm like, yeah, they're like, man, ain't nothing special about him. And I'm like, they have no idea, but they know he's the greatest because, it's been said over and over again. But I think we're just not coming to a place to where now, like you said, people who've never seen him play, to them, LeBron or Kobe is what Michael Jordan was to us, even though they're not even close. And this is 20 years almost since he donned the Chicago Bulls jersey. People are just starting to kind of see him as the mortal that he is.
Mm-hmm. Now, I want to get on one more subject here before we close this out because I saw it today. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but apparently there's something going around now that the young players on the Chicago Bulls have had enough of Dwayne Wade. They can't stand him. Gonzo, do you think that's true? Because I remember last year I thought the talk was Wade, the young guys, or no, that was Rondo. But could you believe that? Do you think that's the case, that the young guys don't like Dwayne Wade?
I think Dwayne Wade is kind of annoying. Like, I don't know. The more I seen him in Miami, when he got with LeBron, he kind of turned into like this really annoying basketball player. Even his clothes annoy me now. It's like they're loud, flamboyant, and highly metrosexual and just outrageous. He's just outrageous now. I don't like Dwayne Wade anymore. He's still my number 3 shooting guard of all time, but he's pissing me off and irritating me so bad. I kind of want to take him off my top 5.
So you think it's true? You think this report is true?
Hold on. You put him over Clyde? You put him over Clyde Drexler? Because I'm assuming Michael Kobe are your 1 and 2.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
I think I got Mike, Kobe, D-Wade, Allen Iverson, Clyde Drexler.
I'd put Wade over Clyde.
I don't know, man. His play, sometimes he's questionable to me, man.
That's all right.
Dwayne Wade.
I mean, Clyde was good.
So, I mean, I feel like if you put Clyde Drexler with LeBron James, man, they'd have beat San Antonio both times.
Hey, you know what though? That when they lost to Dallas, that wasn't Dwayne Wade's fault.
I'm just saying, yeah, they would have won every one of those appearances because you saw what Clyde did the second time he got in the finals. He's like, I am not losing, and I know Michael Jordan's in the gym right now.
This is what I know, though, Byron. This is what I know about Dwayne Wade. Dwayne Wade won a championship when he was the best player on the team. Clyde didn't.
Hey, and who did Clyde beat the second time? The Knicks?
He beat Clyde beat they beat Orlando. When Clyde won,
that was
Clyde
the first time, right?
He only got one.
The first time.
Yeah, Clyde only got one.
That's what I said. But the second championship was against the Knicks, right?
No, it was against the Magic. Clyde, it was against Orlando.
No, his was
Orlando.
Yeah, his was the second one was against Orlando, but that was Clyde's first. He wasn't there for the first one against the Knicks.
No, that wasn't his first finals appearance. His first one
was his first championship.
Against Michael Jordan, yeah.
That was his third finals appearance, I think, right?
Yeah, that was his third.
He lost to Detroit in what, 90 or 89?
89.
Yeah.
That was 89.
Yeah. But Clyde only got one.
Detroit was his first one. Jordan was his second one, and then Houston was his third one.
Yep, that's the third one, and he won one. But he wasn't the best player on that team.
But here's what y'all forget was his defense and his passing ability.
I hear you. I'd still take Wade, but I can't get mad at you for taking Clyde over Wade. But I got to ask you now, Byron, with this stuff about the young guys not liking Dwayne Wade and basically being done with him. What do you think of that? Do you find?
I think that is no different than the way Carmelo Anthony felt on the Olympic team this year. There's a generational gap now. The face of the league is changing. Younger players are coming in. There's the NBA's within the next 3 years, we won't see Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne Wade, and Brian James.
Byron, we got a troll.
What is the troll saying?
Jesus is a baby killer. Jehovah's Witnesses rape little children. Christians are extinct. The Trinity is for losers.
Come on, man. Stop acknowledging these trolls, man. Stop
man.
That stuff, man.
You can't acknowledge ignorance.
Yeah, man.
Wow. Let me get this guy out of here.
But back to what I was saying, I just think there's a generational gap. And, Carmelo, he looked real out of place. It's like they all on the bus. They all jamming out to like some, I don't know what they were listening to. Little Yachty or something. I don't know what it was they were listening to. And Carmelo.
Hey, that's the last time Little Yachty will be mentioned on this podcast.
Yeah, and I'm sure you saw like how annoyed he was. And I just think that the culture of the NBA is changing because it's a new generation that's coming in. And to them, they're looking at Dwayne Wade like he's an old head. And he probably is telling them. He probably sounds, oh man, back in the day we did it like this, and it's just a new era, man. And he does not fit with that new era. He needs to be playing with some vets. So,
hey, I agree. I think that's going to wrap us up, man. Like I said, I wanted to add a couple things on it because I didn't plan on doing this tonight. In all honesty, I give all credit to Rad because he's the one who gave me the idea to get on tonight. I wasn't even going to do it because I didn't get a chance to prepare or anything. So I want to thank you guys for jumping on such last notice. Thank everybody for listening. Obviously, I didn't expect this, but we're going to be back tomorrow. We're going to have Brady on. Gonzo's going to be back again, and we'll have my guy Charlie Jones is going to be on with us again tomorrow. We're going to preview the New York Knicks. I'm thinking 9:30 Eastern is about. We'll go on just like we did last night with the Kings, and we're gonna have a lot. I'm sure we're gonna have a lot to say about this dysfunctional franchise that is the New York Knicks. But so we'll be done. We're done for the night, and we will be back to tomorrow evening. Once again, thanks everybody for listening.